Hi everyone, Ollie Welsh from Eurogamer here. This is my Game of the Year and it's the console version of Diablo 3. Now the main reason this is my Game of the Year is that I've had a brilliant time playing it in co-op with my wife Peggy. Say hello Peggy.
Hello.
These are our characters. That's my wizard on the left looking super gothic, and that's Peggy's monk on the right looking kind of green and crazy. I'm sure you'll all agree that we both look incredibly awesome. And what we are doing, we actually recorded the footage for this the other night after a late night present wrapping session. Happy Christmas, by the way. Is we are going to hit level 60. Yay! We've been playing these two characters. We only play them together since a little bit before the game came out when I got my review copy. And we are currently in, let me see, hell mode. We're playing on hard difficulty, because in this slightly confusing version of Diablo it actually has two separate difficulty settings. And we are level 59, as you can see. We're both about ready to hit 60, which is the level cap in Diablo, which is obviously something that we're quite excited about. You'll notice that I'm slightly ahead of Peggy in the levelling. That's because all of the experience you get and all of the loot you get when you're playing co-op, certainly in local co-op anyway, is shared, and you should level up exactly the same pace, but at various points you get bits of equipment that has equipment bonuses, has experience bonuses on it, and so that's why we've been leveling at a slightly different pace. But I'm fairly hopeful that we are actually going to hit level 60 at the same time. The reason for that is we are right at the end of Act 3 now. Spoilers, by the way. If you really care about the story in Diablo, well, you shouldn't, because it's a load of nonsense. But if you do, you may want to skip this video, because you will find out what happens at the end of Act 3 and the setup for Act 4, which is quite important, I suppose, as these things go. But you really don't need to worry about that, and I will do my best to sort of paper over it. Anyway, we're right at the end of Act 3, and we're about to come up against the big boss of Act 3, who's a demon called Azmodan. He's a big sort of fat guy with spider legs. And we should get a ton of experience for killing him and completing the quest to kill him, which, fingers crossed, should mean that we level up at the same time, which would obviously be very romantic. This is really just a fantastic experience playing this game in co-op. Now, I played Diablo 3 on PC last year, and I really liked it, as I was expecting to. I've been covering the game for a good period of time. I've been really looking forward to it. I'm something of a Blizzard fanboy, as Eurogamer readers like to tease me about. I've been playing World of Warcraft, and Diablo seemed like a game that could fit a little bit more easily into my life than World of Warcraft does. If you were wondering, by the way, what that green cloud was, Peggy has a pair of legendary trousers on that occasionally just cause her to be stinky, and that creates a green cloud, and that makes me stinky if I run through it. A little bit of toilet humour from Blizzard there. Anyway, as I was saying, I thought Diablo was going to fit into my life way more easily than World of Warcraft. It's a much faster paced game. You don't need to sink quite so many hours into it, but at the same time it's still got that really sort of long levelling curve to it, and it's got all of the fun of improving your character and equipping amazing new equipment to it. Now, the PC game was really good, but for some reason it sort of left me cold after a few weeks. I could never really figure out why. There have been a lot of complaints as to the loot progression in the game. Like, the loot that you get just isn't very good, and it drops kind of slowly. You get loads of stuff, but it's all rubbish, and the game pushes you a bit towards its in-game auction house. So that was probably the reason, although I wasn't really aware of it at the time. The game just didn't really click with me for some reason, not in the long term. This console version has a load of improvements, and one of them is a slightly more generous loot, which they're going to take even further in the expansion for the PC game, which is also coming out on PS4 next year, which I am really looking forward to. But yeah, certainly they drop lots better loot, and you'll see that both me and Peggy have got some pretty cool legendary items. I've got my staff called Wormwood, which poisons enemies. And Peggy's got just an incredible shield called Lidless Wall. Ooh, legendary drop. So we're going to find out what that is. I like how I managed to stand right in the middle of Asmodan's death vomit there. Peggy's going to pick up that drop and find out what it is. What I might do is just fade out here so you don't have to look at 5 minutes of us comparing the stats on things, because as everyone knows, that's the second most fun thing about Diablo. Let's complete the quest and find out if we've both leveled up.
I didn't think I could get any better.
Oh, it's just me. That's awkward. Gentleman shouldn't finish first. Okay, well, this is a bit tricky because we now have a bunch of rubbish, questy, story nonsense to get through before we can kill any more monsters and get Peggy leveled up. So let's just speed through this a bit quickly.
When did you decide to betray us?
20 years ago.
Spoilers.
The diamond came long ago, but you...
Oh, that's better. I found somewhere where we're killing again. So yeah, the console version was already a lot more rewarding to play with its better loot, but what really makes it spectacular is a couple of things. One is the new direct control method. Blizzard worked really hard to adapt the game, which is traditionally played with a very sort of click-heavy mouse interface and a few key pressers. They worked really hard to adapt it for the controller, giving you direct control of the character, adding an evade move, and they spent ages tuning the game so that it felt just right with console controls. It's surprisingly different actually. If you talk to Blizzard's designers and if you study the game is balanced quite differently, so it feels just right when you're playing it, and I've got to say I think it's quite a big improvement. So there's that, and then there's the simple but fundamental fact that you can play it in local co-op as well as online. And I don't think we play enough local co-op with games these days. The funny thing is, both me and Peggy are really into games, and in fact, as you can probably tell from watching this, she's actually better at games than I am. I die a couple of times in this fight and she has to sort of run around and stay alive while she waits for me to come back. But we never really settled on a game that we could play together. I don't know what it was. We tried a bunch of stuff. We tried Halo, we tried the Lego games. We weren't not really into competitive gaming. We always wanted something that was like a co-op adventure. But we never settled on one. But when Diablo came along, I was really hopeful that this would be the game, and so it proved. And I think what makes it so fun to play, as well as it just being exactly the right balance of sort of hectic and mindless, and also it's got a really good loop to it, so you play like really intensely for about 20 minutes, but then your bags are full and you want to go back to town and equip some new skills because you leveled up, and look at what you can craft and maybe gem your new equipment and so on. So then you have a bit of downtime, which is perfect for going and making a tea and relaxing and having a little bit of a chat before you head back in. So it's got just the right vibe, and also your characters, the character classes in Diablo, are really flexible because you pick the skills that you use from quite a large selection, and then you can modify each of those skills with runes that you unlock as you level up. And then there's the extra layer that your equipment adds to that, which makes your character feel very personal to you. And also, because you're not making hard decisions, but you can sort of fiddle around with your character all the time as you level, you find that you adapt it more to just your playstyle, what feels right to you, than to anything that feels sort of specifically optimised. Anyway, this villain, Iskatu, is about to go down. Boom! And Peggy's level 60 as well. So yeah, you end up with these really tailored characters, and you really feel like it's an extension of you. It's like a typical old school role-playing game, except super fast-paced and actiony. And that's why it's so much fun to play in co-op, because you really feel like it's the two of you extended into the game world, and that you're kind of expressing aspects of your character that you maybe don't really get to. Anyway, that's why Diablo 3 is my game of the year. It's a wonderful console game. I strongly recommend you check it out, even and especially if you didn't enjoy it so much on PC. That's all. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.